and today we're here at one of his locations. And let's head right in. Let's go meet him. Alright, so I'm here sitting down with Bobby, and what do you do for a living?
I own some shops, and this is my interview.
Alright. So how'd you get into the business, and what got you into starting a business?
Honestly, it kind of just fell in my lap. I was probably about 18 years old when this kind of all went down. I had gotten into a partnership with someone I went to high school with. It worked out pretty well for about a year. Everything worked out. Things didn't work out towards the end. We wanted to go separate ways. It was all completely mutual. No bad blood there. And kind of just took off from there and decided to open up my first physical location.
So what was your first physical location that you opened up?
The Vape Warehouse in San Bernardino. That was in 2015.
And how old were you at the time?
That time I was 19, 20-ish.
So being 19, 20 years old, how'd you have the money to start that up?
I had a little bit of money left over from putting it all into the first business I technically had. So I kind of took that, and I definitely needed more, but I couldn't get a loan at that age. So I went to my parents, my grandparents, and we were able to basically scrounge up enough money to open something up. So I went from there. I was just able to make it work. I forced it to work.
And what services and products do you offer in all your businesses?
For the vape shop, just the normal mods, e-liquid, troubleshooting, just stuff like that. And then for the studio, we offer recording, mixing, mastering, beats to photography, open classes in the back. I mean, we're pretty much open for just about anything there. And then the dozen, we're offering decks, skateboards. You're looking at Supreme, V-Lone, Cause, FTP, a lot of the high-end streetwear clothing.
So have you always liked the streetwear clothing? You were always into that scene?
Honestly, I've always liked it. I just couldn't afford it. I just never had that type of money. My family's never had that type of money, so I always wore primitive, Huff, stuff like that. Something that was more affordable, on me and my family. So that's always what I went for, and then once I was able to, afford the more expensive stuff, I couldn't help the temptations there for sure.
And how do you advertise your businesses? How do you promote them when you release something new or something?
Advertising is weird. The more I got into it and more I got into the businesses, advertising works in so many different ways. I've probably done over a dozen different ways of advertising, from paid for advertising, from Instagram, to paid ads in newspapers. Are so many different ways that you can advertise. But from my experience, you're looking at Instagram probably being the best way to advertise. But with the vape shop, because it's being tobacco products, you can't advertise. So you kind of have to rely on word of mouth, and that actually worked out really well for us. Word of mouth is free, basically, but it works well when you're treating your customers right. And then Instagram ads, that just kind of gets you out there for people to know who you are. But when they come in, that's when you want to, get the word of mouth going, provide an excellent service and, provide good customer service. And that's, how you retain your customers.
All right. And how old are you right now?
Currently, I'm 24. I'll be 25 in February.
So, being 24 and, you own multiple businesses, do people, get like jealous of you, or like is there?
Jealousy has never really been a huge issue. I mean, it's been there, but it's never been like an issue. You know, I've seen it, but it never really bothers me because I know whatever they're doing isn't what I'm doing. So that's always been the real issue. So I've always tried to like help people out too. So I don't know, even people I don't like or people I know that are out to get me, I've always tried to help them. You know, because I know this takes a certain amount of effort that I know they're not willing to put in. So even if I told you my secrets and I told you how this works and how to play the game, it doesn't mean you're willing to do it. You know, there's a lot of sacrifices you have to make. So jealousy's never really been a huge issue for me at all.
And like, do people believe you that you own businesses when you tell them?
No, never. No, never. They never believe me. Especially when I first started out. When I owned my first vape shop, being like, 19, 20 years old, nobody took me seriously. On top of that, back then I didn't really look like I was 19 or 20. I looked like I was 16, 17. So that was a huge issue. We'd go to convention centers and I'm talking to owners of these companies, and I'd bring a few guys along and they were older than me and they'd go directly to them every single time. And I didn't mind it because I got to go look at what I needed to look at and figure out what I needed to buy, while they talked to them. And then by the time they got like, oh, well, who's the owner? And then they all point at me as I'm over here by myself doing whatever I need to. And they're like, they'd laugh and they wouldn't take them seriously. They would think it's a joke. And they're like, no, seriously, he's really the owner, And I've always been the youngest owner, as far as I know, for not only vape shops, but for most businesses in general. And it's just the way it's always been.
So did you always want to own like a business and be a business owner as growing up?
Actually, my second job was at Toys R Us, and I was working with a manager who thought he was so high and mighty and getting paid, just a few dollars more than me, and being, I don't know, in his late 20s, early 30s maybe. I was like, why would you want that, Why would I want to work for somebody else and then, get paid $18 an hour, thinking I was high and mighty? Like, that sounds so lame. So I just wanted to do my own thing. Working a cubicle or a regular 9 to 5 is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Stress is probably the hardest thing to get through when owning a business. You have to deal with so much on the back end. Like, people see only the front end of a shop, or just the front end of pretty much the person that runs it. And dealing with the stress is, it's hard. It's different kind of stress than you're normally used to. You got so many more responsibilities. Think of owning a house and all the bills that it comes with. Now topple that onto random people that come in and make purchases through your house.
What made you choose like the locations of your businesses?
Location has to do with a lot. Like, everyone thinks location, but that's not always the case. It helps, but it's not the number one that you should always look for. You want to make sure that the rent is good, the demographic that you're looking for in that area is good. You just kind of want to go over those two steps. That's the main point. If locations is an option where it's a good location, then go for it. If everything fits your needs and the rent is good, then go for it, for sure. But if you can drive the customers to your location, it doesn't really matter where it's at. They'll come. They'll always come. As long as you can drive the traffic, like I said, provide the service, provide the product, then you'll be good every single time.
What is your company's goals in like the next 5 years?
Honestly, I don't look super far into the future. I don't set huge goals for myself. I don't do really any of that. I take whatever it is day by day. I'll set small goals, if even that, and I'll just accomplish what needs to be accomplished. If it's something that needs to be done, it gets done. It's not really goal oriented. I go as the blows come, and I just keep going.
What would you say is unique about your businesses that you own?
Something that's probably unique is I have a different mindset than most shop owners do. I try to go for something that's slightly different, or completely different. It's always going to be basically different. It's taking somebody who is 24 and comparing it to somebody who owns a business at 40 plus. They are stuck in old ways. I'm not saying all of them are, but I would say a good majority are. So I try to take new practices and what I've seen work, and what I believe would work, and mix that in and create whatever, I call work.
What are your responsibilities as like the main owner of all these that you own?
You got to make sure the product's always stocked. You got to make sure inventory is good. You have to make sure the customers are happy. You're answering reviews. You got to make sure um, everything's paid. Bills are paid, rent's paid, taxes. Taxes are two things are for sure in life: taxes and death. And taxes, they'll get you. You got to watch for taxes all the time. State, government, it doesn't matter. Everyone's looking for their piece of the pie, and that's what it's like. When you're running a business.
And what made you like choose these type of businesses, like the vape and like the clothing one, the skate one, all that?
Honestly, vape is and was a huge hobby. I got into it super early, right when it was kind of taking off, and it was just a hobby. It started out as a hobby, and that's a good way to look at businesses. Is go into something that you can make money that makes you happy. That it's a hobby first and a business second. That's what makes it a lot easier. It makes businesses run easier, smoother when they're a hobby. When you're into whatever you're doing, whatever you're selling, that's what makes it easier, and that's what makes it thrive even more, because you're more obligated and more willing to put more time and effort into the business when you're, loving what you do, and that's what makes it a lot easier. So I love vaping. I loved everything about it, and that's what got me into it, and that's what made it thrive for me.
So you sell like a lot of Supreme and like all these expensive brands. Like, how do you like get those and then like sell them, like resell them to other people?
Obtaining these brands is not super easy. Like Supreme being one of them, they're a lot harder to get a hold of. Basically, you pay retail. You gotta find it for retail, a little bit of retail, just to make a little bit of money on it. And then all the other brands. Each brand is completely different. If you're talking about V-Loan, you gotta know somebody. A lot of these brands, you just gotta know somebody. You gotta know a plug to get these brands, and if you don't, then it's gonna be hard for you to operate without it.
And what would you say is your number one advice to someone who wants to start a business like this?
Research. Research. Google's your best friend. Google will tell you all the answers. If not all of them, it's going to give you most of them. Damn, dude. You're looking at, days and days worth of research. Like I said, your location. You're looking at zoning, talking to the city. Make sure you get all your permits done right. Your resale permits, wholesale license if you need it. Most of the time you will. And any other kind of special licenses you might or might not need, due to the fact of what kind of businesses you're in. So each business is going to be slightly different. If you're talking about just retail, most wholesaler and resale licenses will get you by. But, if you're talking, even a fitness, workout spot, that's going to require a few different licenses. Tattoo shops require different licenses. So you just have to look at the industry that you're going into, look at the demographic in the city you're looking at, and then make sure you have all the licenses and paperwork done correctly. And if you don't, gonna bite you in your ass later.
So how did you do in school? Like in high school, were you like?
Honestly, high school I was bad. It was so bad. F's, constant F's, D's if I was lucky. I played some sports in high school. Nothing crazy. Didn't really care too much for sports, so I didn't put a whole lot of effort into that because I didn't really want to do them. Yeah, man, schoolwork was just not my number one priority. I just partied a lot, and I just got D's, S most of the time, summer school, constantly. You're looking at, I think I graduated with a 1.4 GPA, and I want to say that's straight D's. So, tried college out. College was all right. Took a few business classes in college. That's really what I kind of went off of. Kind of dropped out of college. Well, I did drop out of college, and kind of just went my own way and did my own thing.
So if you weren't doing this right now, like what do you think you would be doing?
Honestly, banging my head against the wall. To be honest, if I'd probably be in a cubicle or wearing a work shirt.
So what would you say is the most important step when you start a business?
The most important step would probably be to know that you want to do it. You have to have the drive to do it. If you don't, you're going to be wasting your time. Just have the drive, don't give up. Things are going to come at you left and right. They're always going to. It's going to get discouraging. You're going to see walls. You're going to see signs that tell you stop, don't do it. And depending on the person you are, you kind of just have to go through the wall, whether it's through it or over it, and just get to it, get what you need done, go through with it.
What are your hobbies outside of like doing the business stuff?
Honestly, I play a lot of video games. Whenever I got time, I play video games. That's probably my number one hobby. That's what I love to do, to be honest.
And do you think you're gonna open like another business in like the next year?
No, I'll probably calm down for a little bit. I'll probably just kind of relax and just get done what I need to do with these ones that are here now. Get them established. I probably won't be opening anything anytime soon, so I'll probably just be sitting on these guys for a little bit, making sure they're good and get them as developed as I need them to be.
How much money would you say you invested into like all your businesses combined?
Shit, altogether, if I had to think about that, I would probably say looking at probably about 200,000. I probably invested about 200,000 in just opening. That doesn't even include what I ended up adding after the fact, like right after I opened, and what else I realized that I needed. So base level, at least 250,000. Yeah, that's probably where I'd put it. I've had a lot of friends come and go. A lot of friends that want to use basically me to get whatever they want, for hookups or, to open doors. It doesn't really matter, and I see that almost immediately. That's another thing about business you kind of got to watch out for is a lot of people are going to come after you, but you also have to see the good in people and who you want around in your circle. Your circle is definitely going to help you get to that next level, and that's exactly what, quote unquote, my friends, have done for me. And most of the friends that I have, really, the only friends that I have are all family to me for sure. So, I do anything for them. I know they do anything for me. It doesn't really matter the purpose for money.
All right, guys. So this has been Bobby right here, and he's gonna tell you where you can find all his businesses and all that on Instagram, social media.
All right, guys. You can follow us all the shops on Instagram at Local Legend Studios, at The Dozen Skate Co., at The Vape Warehouse. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you, guys.